अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय श्रीगौरप्रियमूर्तये श्रीमते भक्तिवल्लभा तीर्थगोस्वामिने नमः। पतितपावन परम करुणामय परमाराध्यतम शिल गुरुदेव नित्य लीला प्रविष्टो विष्णुपाद श्री श्रीमद् भक्तिवल्लभ तीर्थ गोस्वामी महाराज जी के श्रीपाद पद्म में असंख्य कोटि साष्टांग दंडवत प्रणाम करते हुए उनकी अहेतु की कृपा प्रार्थना करता हूँ। By the mercy of most revered Srila Gurudev, we have been discussing here about the glories of the holy name. So we had this discussion yesterday how the holy name is identical to the form of the Lord Himself. So here it is mentioned, the body of the Supreme Lord is the Lord Himself. Means like conditioned souls of this world, the body and the soul are never separate. They are one. They are always one. And there is no such difference. There is no such difference between the body and the soul. So with respect to the name and form denoted by the name, so the name and the form, the Swarup, both should not be considered like they are two different things. As we hear, नाम विग्रह स्वरूप तीन एक रूप, तीने भेद नाय चिदानंद रूप। कृष्ण नाम कृष्ण स्वरूप दुई समान. The holy name of the Lord and the form of the Lord, both are equal, they are identical, they are one, they are same. And again it says Naam Vigrah Swarup, the name of the Lord, the form of the Lord, and the deity of the Lord are non-different from each other. They are one. Tine bhed nai chidananda roop. There is no difference between all three. It is what we have to understand. Deh dehi nam nami means deh means body, dehi means the soul. The body and the soul, and the name and the named. Krishna nahi bhed. There is no difference in the case of Sri Krishna. Jiver dharma nam deh swarup vibhed. Not like conditioned souls, that there is difference between the name and the person. So that's why we have to understand the theory which is presented in the name of Supreme Lord is not applicable in the case of this material world. Because in this material world, when we utter a word, the word is totally different from the substance. Like if we say fire, so fire word is different and the object is totally different. They both are not one. So the fire is denoted by the name. So in the same way, if we keep on repeating the name fire, 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 still it never burns. It never burns. So once we keep on repeating fire, 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 it never burns. In the same way, if we say water, 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 it is not going to quench our thirst. If a person is thirsty, he should definitely go and drink water. He has to go to the waters and he has to drink. If not, his thirst is never quenched. So even though the person may utter the name of water for lakhs of times, but anyhow his thirst is never quenched. So, but it is not possible in the name, it's not applicable in the name of the Supreme Lord. That's why it is said the theory which is applicable in the case of the Lord is not at all applicable in the case of material world. Both are totally on different platforms. So now, but the case with the holy name of the Supreme Lord is altogether different. But it is in the case of the holy name of the Supreme Lord, it is different. The name Ram or the name Krishna is not in any way different from the divine form of the Supreme Lord. That is the speciality. The identity of the name with the divine form, Bhagavan himself, is not a monopoly of a section among the Hindus alone. It is supported even by other religions like Christianity. Our acharyas, they are saying, don't think this is what we say and it is the monopoly of Hindu religion. Even other religions also they believe this. What they say, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is what is quoted here. In the beginning was the Word, there was Word in the beginning. Through Word only everything appeared. We call it as Shabda. The origin of entire creation started from the Word only. And the Word was with God. Word was with the God, and then again it says Word was God. In fact, Word is God. So anyhow, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further adds on this issue. Therefore, the name, the body and the supportive deeds of Sri Krishna are not subjective to the understanding of human senses. They are not subject to the understanding of human senses. That is the reason the name of the Lord, one of the names of the Lord is Adhukshaja, one who can't be comprehended by our limited senses, our limited eyes, whatsoever they are. None of the senses are capable of understanding the Lord in any form. And also it is said, what it is said, Ataiv Krishner Naam Deh Vilas Prakrutendriya Grah Nahe Hoi Swaprakash. They are Swaprakash, means self-luminous, self-effulgent. So one which is self-effulgent can't be understood, can't be comprehended by the limitation of senses. That's what we have to understand. And also this is self-revealing truth, a truth which is self-revealed, not that it can be understood by our own speculations, our own intelligence or whatsoever it is, our own concoctions. It is totally a different subject which can be only understood by His own mercy. As we have discussed earlier, like if someone wants to see sun, he has to wait till the sun rises. But it is not possible that if we try to collect a huge amount of electricity from different big cities or the nations of this world and try to focus it on the sky to see the sun, then also it is not possible. In the same way, the self-effulgent Lord is self-effulgent, We can't put light, or we can't help the Lord so that He can spread His effulgence. That effulgence is His nature. So He is self-effulgent and also self-revealing truth. He only has to manifest. Nothing else can create the truth. Nothing else can create this in any kind of mental or intellectual factories. That is what we have to understand. So, listening to these words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what Rupa Goswami has mentioned, Rupa Goswami, he narrates this particular verse in his literature, where he says, Ata Sri Krishna namadi na bhaved grahyam indriye. The name and the form, qualities, pastimes, everything is beyond the comprehension of human senses. We can't comprehend any of these things by our limited senses. Na bhaved grahyam indriye. Through our external senses, it is impossible for us to understand or to comprehend. Then sevon mukhaiva jivado swayameva spurittada. What happens? Sevan mukhaiva jivado. When the jiva, what he does, sevon mukh means inclined. When the jiva inclines himself towards in the loving devotional service of the Lord, swayameva spuritada, then everything will start manifesting within the heart of the sincere aspirant. Spontaneously they start to manifest in the Supreme Lord. So the jiva has to realize his spiritual nature, that I am the eternal servant of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Then only the most merciful Lord will bestow His mercy, by which the jiva can understand, the jiva can realize his eternal nature. For that, what he has to do, he says, spontaneously manifest themselves in his spiritual sense organs. Now they are material sense organs, so that's why they have to manifest in their spiritual sense organs. We have eyes in the spiritual world. If not, how we will see the Lord? But those eyes are made in such a way that they can see the Lord. Now in this material world, the Lord is adhokshaj. There he can be seen. he can be seen, because there those senses are not material, they are transcendental. As the senses of the Lord are transcendental, the same way the senses of the associate of the Lord are also transcendental. So through transcendental eyes one can see. The Lord says to Arjuna, Dadami divyanti te chakshum, I will bestow you the divine vision by which you can see me. Once I bestow you the vision, then only you will be able to see me. If not, it's not possible for you to see my transcendental form. In Bhagavad Gita, before the Lord bestows the darshan of his Virat form, he is giving him those divine vision, divine eyes, by which he can have that transcendental vision of the Supreme Lord. So in the same way, those transcendental ears, these ears, once they enter, then also it's not going to work. So all those senses are spiritually inclined senses or transcendental senses. So everything has to transcend. Nothing material can help us realize the Supreme Lord. So we are not in a state that we can transcend, or our senses are transformed completely on transcendental platform, but at least they should be spiritually inclined. When all our senses are spiritually inclined, that's why it is said Rishikena Rishikesh Sevanam. How we perform the service of Rishikesh, it is said Rishikena, through all our senses. When all our senses are engaged for our own pleasures, then the senses are completely material. But when all these senses are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, then they are transformed as spiritual senses. That's why it is said, what we have to do, bhakti means Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tatparatena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. It is, what is the definition of bhakti? Bhaktir Uchyate. It is said that this is bhakti. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. Rishikena is all the senses. Through the senses, we have to serve Rishikesh. We are the slaves of our senses today, but Rishikesh is the Lord of senses, master of senses. So whoever is the master of senses, that is Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. One who is, not whoever, one who is the master of the senses, he is Rishikesh, he is Krishna. We have to surrender onto his lotus feet and try to serve him. Then only we will be able to realize, the holy name and the form of the Lord. Without this, no one can comprehend the qualities of the Lord. That is what we have to understand. Sri Krishna's qualities and his sportive deeds, the characteristic so what it is said, the Lord's qualities of the Lord, and also his pastimes. We call it as Leela. So his pastimes and then his qualities, and also his form and his holy name. Everything is eternal and then spiritual, full of transcendental bliss. All these things are Sachidananda. They are not comprehensive by the material forms. We can't just do it by the material forms. Forms of whom? Of those souls, those who are the slaves of Sattva, Rajas, Tamo, Guna. They are the slaves of all these three qualities. So those who are bound in this material world, those who are under the influence of this material world, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo, Gunas, for them it is impossible. For them it is not possible to comprehend anything related to the Lord. So now the glory of the transcendental name and its practice is inspiringly exemplified in the life of great saints, who was one of the most favorite devotees of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We started this on the Tithi of Haridas Thakur's disappearance day. So today, in the name of this, in the discussion of the glories of holy name, the name of Srila Haridas Thakur is being glorified, because when we talk about the holy name, we can't just escape Haridas Thakur. Without Haridas Thakur, the glories of holy name are considered to be incomplete. So that's why here it is said, the glory of this transcendental name, the glory and then the practice. Now we have the theory, and where we have this practical application of theory. For that, the Lord's dearmost devotee has taken up this task, and he is Haridas Thakur. So here Haridas Thakur, through his practical living example, presented to the world the glories of the holy name, as well as the practice, how it is helpful. Everything is being glorified. So his life is an exemplary life. His life is an inspiration for all those sincere aspirants who wants to surrender to the holy name. And also, who is he? He is one of the most dearmost devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His marvelous life was the practice of chanting of the holy name in living form before us. So he was in his living form in front of us. That is what was seen. The practice of the chanting of holy name. His ideal life in this field was won for him. What? Namacharya, the title. Namacharya. What is Namacharya? Practicing teacher of the chanting of the holy name. Nam Acharya. Acharya means the one who is practicing and preaching. A person who is practicing in his life and then preaching. Someone is practicing but not preaching, someone is preaching but not practicing. But Acharya is the person who practices and preaches. That's why we glorify our Param Gurudev by saying Swayam Acharane Paradhairya Param. He practices what he preaches. That's why most revered Srila Param Gurudev very boldly used to say, don't just follow me, just follow my lecture, follow me. You have to follow me. If you only try to follow my lecture, but if you don't want to follow me, then it is impossible for you to understand. So practical application is understood only when we follow the footsteps of pure devotees. That's why we need the association of devotees. Theory is very nicely explained in the scriptures, but the practical application of the theory can be understood very clearly only once we surrender or once we try to follow the footsteps of the beloved devotees of the Lord. So if we try to follow the footsteps of Srila Haridas Thakur, Namacharya, what is happening? Then we can understand, we will be enlightened with the truths, with so many details of the above mentioned topic. Means the glories of the holy name, what we have discussed till now, it can be very nicely understood. It can be understood in a very elaborated way. We need the elaboration, we need a detailed explanation of the subject matter, and that can be, that is possible if we try to understand the deeds of such great personalities. What it is said, why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, one of the main reasons for his advent in this world is to establish Yuga Dharma. Because the Yuga Dharma which is prescribed for Kali Yuga is Nam Sankirtan, is chanting of the holy name. So what happens? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared not only to relish that pure love, loving devotional service of the Lord, he also appeared to establish Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma is very important. This is the Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has done both the things at one time. So anyhow, he is the inspiration. He is the inspiration for what? Behind all the activities of all his devotees. He is the inspiration. Without his desire, without his inspiration, without his desire, without his inspiration, nothing is possible. Nothing is possible to happen. So he fulfilled many of his purposes through his very intimate associates. And so through Haridas Thakur, what he has done, he has taught the world that the transcendental glories of the holy name and the way to practice and the same and final realization of such practice means the holy name as sadhana, the holy name as sadhya, and then nam mahima, the glories of the holy name. He glorified the holy name, practiced the holy name, and whatever we get after the realizations of such practices, everything is being presented in the life of Haridas Thakur. Like he told Rup Sanatan Goswami to go to Vrindavan and to manifest and to revive the lost sacred places of Vraj. And he told different devotees to perform different things. In the same way, through Haridas Thakur, he glorified the holy name, practiced the holy name, and realized the holy name. He did everything. So, the ideal life of such great personalities and their teachings is actually a very precious heritage. If we can preserve the heritage, we can see, we understand so many things. It's very important to preserve heritage. So, the life of such great personalities is very precious heritage, which is the guide, which is also guiding whom the destiny of the people, it's guiding for inspiring them in their walk towards the attainment of divine bliss. So those who want to attain the divine bliss means Krishna Prem, the divine bliss, Krishna Prem, and for such people this life is inspiring. It is not just inspiring, it is guiding also and changing the destiny. Creating the destiny. That is the speciality. That's why it is very much recommended that we have to always depend on the pure devotees and then try to follow their sacred lifestyle. No realization is considered as bona fide which is independent of the teachings and the practices prescribed by the pure devotees of the Lord. Whatever is manifesting within the heart, that comes only after we receive proper mercy and guidance from the pure devotees of the Lord. That is what we have to understand. If we don't understand this, then we won't be able to realize or attain anything in our life. That's why it is said, their life is ideal example. Their life is ideal example. Not just an example, ideal example, perfect example. By following, no need to see anything. If we can blindly follow the path of pure devotees, the path laid by the pure devotees of the Lord. Pure devotees means the one who has realized the name, realized the form, realized the qualities and the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. One who is surviving only by the means of relishing the divine name of the Lord, such great personalities. Our life is completely solved. The purpose of our life, everything is so completely solved. By our own endeavors, by our own practices, by our own thinking or intellect, it is never possible for any one of us to understand or to realize the Supreme Lord, the glories of the holy name. For that reason, Lord has sent His men. Lord extended His mercy. That's why the pure devotees are addressed as His divine grace. Why we address them as His divine grace? The only reason is they are the personified form of the mercy of the Supreme Lord, grace incarnation. The grace of the Supreme Lord incarnates in the form of pure devotees who appears and guides us towards the ultimate attainment, towards the path of ultimate attainment. That's why it is said, we have to follow the teachings of such great personalities. And what it is said, we all know, the life of such great people, they carry a kind of magnetic influence. Like the way magnet attracts, in the same way, the transcendental aura which is created around such great personalities also attracts all those people, those who sincerely desire, aspire for their spiritual upliftment. That is what we have to understand. A pure devotee, because of the purity he has in his heart, and also because of the devotion he has in his heart towards the Supreme Lord, naturally gets the quality to attract. That's why we can see Krishna means what? The one who is all attractive, one who is all attracting all the spirits, all the jivas since time immemorial, and bestowing them with higher bliss. That is Krishna. So once a person chants the name of Krishna, he gets attracted towards Krishna and starts to feel bliss within his heart. In the same way, those who are inclined in the chanting of His holy name, chanting the name of the Lord, at one point when they try to conquer the heart of the Lord, at one point when they control the Lord, then the Lord finds no other option other than residing in the heart of such great devotees. So when the Lord resides in the heart of a pure devotee, naturally a kind of effulgence is produced around the devotee of the Lord. Like we can see in the life of Mother Devaki, when Lord Krishna entered into her womb, that time she starts to shine like sun. Before she was very, very sad, crying because she lost all her 7 sons, 7 children. After losing 7 children, she is completely tired and she is very sad. Even though she is very beautiful, but her body looks very pale and then very tired, very weak. But the moment the Lord entered into her transcendental body in the womb of Mother Devaki, immediately her body is transformed. Kans could see that now Devaki doesn't look like before. Even she appears more beautiful than before, more effulgent than before. She looks completely different. As a result, by the presence of Mother Devaki, even the cell, even the jail, the prison is also shining like sun. Everyone is getting attracted towards Devaki to see her, what's special in her. In the same way, pure devotee, he makes the Lord reside in his heart. Our acharyas, they say, Tomar Hriday Sada Govinda Vishram. Lord Govinda is residing in the heart of pure devotees. And not only that, Govinda Kahena Mama Vaishnav Paran. Govinda says, the Lord himself says, Vaishnav Paran. Vaishnav is my life. A pure devotee of the Lord becomes the life of the Supreme Lord. That is the speciality. That is the divinity. So that's why the pure devotee also attains that quality of attracting the Lord. Holy name itself is potent enough to attract everyone and to bestow them bliss. But very interestingly, what is happening? The person who has taken shelter in the lotus feet of holy name, he is becoming even more powerful than the holy name and attracting everyone. Because the holy name attracts the person, makes him his devotee, and then bestows him liberation. But the same holy name, when it is coming through the lips of pure devotee, the holy name, along with its quality of bestowing liberation, also attains another quality of bestowing transcendental divine love to the sincere aspirant. So that's why a pure devotee, he bestows us pure love for the Lord. If we want pure love, if you want to serve the Lord with pure loving devotion, we have to make sure that we are taking shelter in the lotus feet of a pure devotee, because Lord is very deeply attached to his devotee. And no one, not a single person is possible to get distracted or to go away from this magnetic influence of the devotee. When the devotee spreads his influence, it is that one has to get attracted, that's it. And now, if we see, we are so fortunate that we are in the holy land, Bharat, which is flooded by such great personalities. Of course, we are in Kali Yuga. So, the impact of Kali is anyhow very strong and very strongly seen in this material world, unfortunately. But Our holy land is so sacred and so powerful that it has given birth to many of such great personalities who flooded the world with pure loving doctrines, pure loving teachings, which helps us to go more and more deeper into the spiritual path and even more and more deeper in the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. But the industry, the media industry today only highlights such people, those who are not sincere and not dedicated, those who are not actual God men, and then try to impose this same thing on each and every person of the whole world. There are quite few people, definitely those who are living a very worthless life in the name of spiritual practitioners. But the ancient Vedic wisdom specifies that the whole world, the whole nation is flooded with such great personalities, those who are very dear to the Supreme Lord. And it's true that the world is surviving because there are many sincere souls, sincere monks, sincere saints who are protecting the world by their severe, by their intensified form of practice, by their loving devotion towards the Supreme Lord. If not, the world would have lost long back. So anyhow, that's why it is said, it's very important. It's very important that we have to understand all these things. They have done so many selfless sacrifices and hardships. All those things, they all underwent through different conditions only to help the most fallen people of this material world, only to give the world what they have realized, what they have tasted. That's why when we talk about the glories of the sadhus, the monks, it said, Titikshasva karunika suhrid sarva dehinam ajata shatro shanta sadhava sadhubhushana. Titikshasva means very humble. Very humble. They are so humble because the message which they want to convey is not so pleasing. Is not so pleasing. That's why they have to face so many oppositions. But being very merciful on the enslaved jivas of this world, they are very humble to anything happening to them. And then Karunika. Karunika means very merciful. They are merciful. Those monks are merciful. That's why they are our parampara. All those acharyas in the modern language, we have to say, address them as merciful monk. So our parampara is full of such merciful monks, those who are very humble, those who are very tolerant, those who are very merciful. And also, why they have to be so merciful? Why these monks are very merciful? Suhrid sarva dehinam. They are the friends of everyone. One who has the treasure of holy name within his heart naturally becomes friends of everyone. That is the speciality. We don't need to preach about non-violence. We don't need to teach anyone about being peaceful, not stop violence. We just need to make them understand that I need to surrender to the holy name. I need to start tasting the holy name. That's it. As a result of the taste one develops towards the holy name, naturally he will become peaceful. He become friend of everyone, because the Lord is present within the region of the heart of each and every individual. So those devotees, those who have God realized, those who have name realized, as the name and the named, as the name and the form both are identical, once they are realized, he sees the whole world as one family, because they all are from the Supreme Lord, by the Supreme Lord, for the Supreme Lord. Krishna adhishtan sarve jive jani sada. When a person sees that Lord is residing in the heart of each and every one, then how it is possible that the person can be aggressive, that the person can be violent? Not possible. Sarva jive jani sada. Always understand that the Lord is residing in the region of heart of each and every jiva. And what he does? Karabi samman save. Immediately a kind of respect comes. A kind of respect comes, and which is shown to every jiva, towards every jiva. That respect is for every individual. That's why we can see, I have personally noticed most revered Srila Guru Maharaj always giving respect to everyone, irrespective of the person is small or big or old or whatsoever the person is. He even giving respect to the little children. He is even giving respect to the small kids. That's what we have seen in Srila Gurudev, as well as in Srila Bharati Maharaj also. They always respect everyone. Not a single person was disrespected, dishonored by them. And this respect is not artificial. It's totally natural. Why? Krishna adhishtan sarve jive jani sada. They always see that the Lord is residing in the region of heart of each and every individual. When you see the Lord residing in the heart of everyone, then there is no possibility of giving any kind of abuse, any kind of disrespect or disgracing anyone. That's why they make everyone their friend. Suhrid sarva dehinam, irrespective of any kind of entity they are, whether means the entity from all these 84 lakhs of species. Any entity which is born from all these 84 lakhs of species, they all are adored, they all are respected very nicely, because Suhrida Sarvadehinam, they are friends of all the persons. When you have friend, where is the room for making enemy? When they see Lord residing in the heart of such person, then where is the place for being enemy? Ajat Shatru, free from enemies, there are no enemies. And most peaceful. They are not restless, they are not disturbed, even though that's why they are not intolerant. They are tolerant, they are relaxed, they are divine, such personalities. Why? Because of the realization they have attained through the process of chanting the holy name. And when they see all these people are averse from the Supreme Lord, that moment for them is so painful that they see the Lord residing in their heart. At the same time, they see they are so conditioned that they are unable to realize the light, the spark, which is the expansion of the Supreme Lord residing in their heart. and giving life to the soul and doing all kinds of things which are not favorable for spiritual life, then their heart starts to melt. Then the mercy starts to overflow from the heart of those monks. As a result, they become more merciful. As a result, they take up this task of delivering these fallen souls and put them back in the loving devotional service of the Lord, in the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And our holy land, our holy nation is so fortunate to receive such great personalities from time to time. India used to be and is full of such great merciful monks since time immemorial, who are not only spreading the holy name by their conduct, by their lifestyle, by their love, helping everyone in the path of God realization. Once we have this God realization, we are naturally free from all kinds of miseries and miserable conditions, or also from the most miserable condition state of our life. That is speciality. And what it is said, such great personalities who have achieved their greatness where in physical region and also intellectual reasons, means in the physical presence and in intellectual regions also they have achieved their greatness. So, but still such persons, their lives are not going to help the world to come out, are not going to help this humanity to achieve peace, are not going to help. But what is going to help? Who is going to help? All those great personalities who are endowed with all these great qualities of a pure devotee, of a pure monk, of a merciful monk. And also, even though those people, those who possess all these qualities are not going to help any individual to lead a peaceful life unless the person possesses one very special quality, primary quality, which makes the person a true monk, truly a merciful monk, is Mai Ananya Bhavena Bhaktim Kurvanti Ye Dridam. He should be engaged constantly in the loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So that's why it is said, what it is said, without the lives and teachings of saintly persons, the achievements of humanity must indeed be very poor. Not possible. God-loving saints or the pure devotees who come down and move in this world not for any selfish purpose of their own. Even though there are some people who possesses the qualities of sadhus, of the monks, but still some of them, they definitely have some other ulterior motives. But the one who is engaged in one-pointed, exclusive, loving, devotional service of the Supreme Lord doesn't carry anything for his own motive. He doesn't carry anything for his own motive. Wherever he goes, whatever he speaks, everything is only because of his nature, God-loving nature, only because of that. And that is the only thing which helps the humanity, which is useful for the welfare of this humanity. Other than them, no other agents, no other personalities, even though after possessing the qualities of those monks, but because they don't possess the quality, the main quality which is considered as the life of such personality, it is impossible for attaining any kind of welfare of this human society. Haridas Thakur, a celebrated devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, occupies a prominent position among the long line of devotees, which devotees appearing in the Holy Land, Bharat. So Haridas Thakur is one among such great devotees. There are many such devotees like Dhruv, Prahlad, Ambarish, all other devotees, Tukaram, Rahim, Raskhan, Mirabai. There are many such devotees, especially the devotees coming in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar, Rai Ramanand, Shad Goswamis, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Narottam Thakur, Haridas Thakur, all those Panchatattva, everyone, they all appeared in this holy land and drank the nectar of holy name, relished it, and got intoxicated by the nectar of this holy name, and then flooded everyone with loving devotional service. And there are many other kinds of sadhus, other such sadhus, those who possess the qualities of sadhus, but they are unable to, they are such personalities, they could not relish the nectar of divine name. That's why they could not help the human society to the whole. So that's why we shall discuss more tomorrow. We have to understand that the importance of these great souls in the human society, especially in the current age, is very, very important, because their life is not just mythology, their life is an inspiration for all those who really want to attain Godhead, those who really want to attain perfection in their life, those who really want to be with the Lord and enjoy His presence and enjoy the nectar of rasa. Thank you very much. Jai Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna.